Are you consciously working with metaphor? And, well, I think you are. I'm just answering the question. That's classic. The step ladder, the stone, the tune, the solemnity of your presence, the empty chair, all of those things are kind of metaphor, but not in an ambiguous way. I don't know, is that, can you talk about that?
Yes, these objects are what is in this building. We spoke about the triangle, the ladder, the rock that usually keeps the front door closed. We just walk past it when we enter, and we thought, let's use that. It's Amaara's key. Everything is very lo-fi. It's what's already here, and we're just activating what is already here.
But once it's here and not where it usually is, it becomes strange.
Yes.
Don't touch the microphone while using the microphone.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, I'm terrible at metaphors, so I'm no expert. But I'm just interested in the idea of because that step ladder looked like a mountain when you were walking over it to me.
I mean, when you're, I don't know, I guess what comes up for me is like the difference between simile and metaphor. So, I mean, there are a lot of very learned people in this room, so do come and sit on the empty chair, particularly if I am wrong. But what I understand is, simile is, do you say, I am like a thunderstorm? Yes, someone's nodding, good. And the metaphor is, I am a thunderstorm. Correct?
Okay.
So that...
Forget about the word metaphor. Let's just talk about the things and the resonance of the things when they're in this context, when you've taken them out of this. Like, what are they? They become. Well, you're asking us to. They become meaningful. So I guess I'm really asking about what are they? What do you want them to mean?
And I'm wondering if we can be free from metaphor. I want to free us from metaphor. That's my answer. At uni we do crits. At uni with visual arts students, they don't do showings, they do crits.
They do what?
They do crits.
Crits.
Not showings.
Crits.
But I'm going to do a crit when you're showing for them. They don't even know what that is. Anyway, so you have to talk about an artwork for an hour and a half in a group of people, and all these associations with that reminds me of this. It's like this. I struggle with that because I think, well, what's in the work? In this work, we encounter a ladder that becomes a strange ladder, to take your word for it. Can the meaning be tautological? Can it be inside the situation through which it's enacted, or through which it's given its strangeness, rather than signal something outside the work?
Do you think it did that?
Yes, because I have my own view of how I like to engage with art or performance, and all I take is the moment we've been given 5 contexts that allow us to occupy many temporal spaces at once. say, feminist authors, makers, and I love that you put your own names there. So this is kind of, but it's also autobiographical. So it's like the self is saying all these many different things. And I guess to actually answer the question is what these things meant was maybe a weakness or a kind of. I was interested in just the kind of play of level and direction and kind of even the sounds of the doors opening, these kind of things, just where I was like being directed to look as kind of just really just kind of like play and form. You know, that's because there's no other. Maybe there is a reason you ever see as artists give secret reasons why there's things or why we include or do certain things, but the audience may not. Doesn't really need to know.
Yeah, I think I was interested in this word inside and outside, and the relationship between an inside and an outside when you're in residence, when you're inhabiting a residency. And also when you're doing a showing, like what goes on in an interior, and then this a showing of two with, and some of the things that we are showing you tonight, like it's really mysterious, sort of how it came about. It came about by being together and spending time, and then kind of having to make decisions, having to make them quite fast or quite slow. And then at some point saying, okay, well, this is what we will show tonight. Whilst there's lots of other things bubbling as well.
But it expresses the conditions through which it's made. In a way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And I suppose I have a big interest in narrative forms and language is also one of the objects in the work. So there's the ladder, the rock, the key, the text, the spoken text.
Why this work has become very self-conscious? Because it's already eating itself by having this conversation. It's improvised, but we're in the work right now while talking about it's unfolding within its. It's what's going on.
I guess that's about the Ouroboros, the snake that eats its own tail. Yeah, that was an important. That was also a word of the day, but we had to, had to show some moral restraint at Temperance Hall.
Can you talk a little bit about the way you worked? Speaking of the thing that became a thing that was you and you coming together. Can you talk a little bit about how that happened?
We definitely figured out the way we wanted to work as we went along. We spent a lot of time sitting and talking and sharing. I guess Molly and I came in to your residency and you shared with us some things you've written, some things you were reading, thinking about, watching, and then we did all those things, read, watched, talked about things together, and then we decided that we would like to work in a way where Molly and I would then come into the hall and, make some fast decisions a little bit, bring some objects into the space and we would talk to you about the objects, and then we kind of got into this practice of we go and do a thing and then you are either in the space with us or you're not, Amaara, and then we'll show you things, tell you how we're thinking about the things, and you tell us
how you think about things. And then we made some good decisions. But we did a lot of like, oh, is this too much? Hear me out. And then each of us would do that, and then we would slowly but also quickly get somewhere. So we spent about 2 weeks together, the 3 of us, yeah.
What was too much?
I don't think there was a lot that we said was too much.
And what made it too much?
I guess it was like, we were playing with drama a bit, and then we got into this like space of like dramatic but lo-fi theatre, and then we went into that, and then we'd sometimes get a bit timid about it as well.
And I think there's also, so I didn't really talk about this in the context, but there is a tarot card that has Temperance, the figure of Temperance. And in the tarot, or in the etymology of the word, and in the tarot it's an angel pouring water from one vessel to another. And the background of the word temperance, which is also related to temper or temperament or temperature, is the mixing of opposite forces. And so we were that became a choreographic method, let's say. How to be formal and informal. How to be dramatic and also lo-fi. How to be in and out. So this mixing of opposite forces became a way of making choices.
Participate. So this question about what is this about? To me, it's reflexivity, which is really important, and I really appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation in the showing. I think it's really appropriate, and I think it's when I was looking at you, to me, you're a really, truly interdisciplinary artist, and I would think of this piece as a performance lecture. So I was wondering what you thought about that, and it really makes perfect sense to have this conversation, this kind of reflexive, inward-looking aspect of it as part of that, because it's discursive. And I thought about this as well with your contexts and how really great it was to have your contexts in the first act that situates us where we are within the architecture, within the place, within the history. So, I just wanted to say I think of this as a performance lecture, and also I think of this aspect of it as a really important, reflexive opportunity that's really appropriate for showing. And thanks, and I couldn't help getting involved.
No, we want you all to be involved. I hope that's clear. Thanks. Thank you. I think I really like the form of a performance lecture, and also this building has a history of lectures.
Yes.
I've listened to a lot of lectures, and I thought it was a good opportunity to give one. But I do like that form, but sometimes that form can sound quite academic when you say it in other contexts, and I wasn't entirely sure about calling it that in this context. But I think that's it's a form that I'm very interested in. Yeah. Do you think this was we never said the word performance lecture to each other until now? Yeah.
I think it can be, it could be, yeah. Among other things.
Could it also be a performance, do you think?
Yes. And isn't a lecture always a performance?
That's a good question. How, like, what makes is this a lecture? Is the first act and the third act dramaturgical, as opposed to what would you call a lecture? As opposed, you wouldn't call the lecture dramaturgical.
Would you call a lecture dramaturgical?
No, but it's scripted, isn't it? It's performed and it's scripted. No, you don't. Yeah.
come in and deal with this question more. Yeah, exactly. He was looking for a way out. So, yeah, got dragged. But, I'm very jet lagged, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to say. But, this was very special. And it made me think a lot about words, actually, which surprised me. Your words were so carefully chosen, beautifully delivered out there. And it really made me think that, like, since I was a small child and kind of growing up, I've always loved finding a new word, and looking it up and really trying to understand what that word means and whether that word can capture what it's about. And I wonder whether those words that you've been investigating have helped you to capture what you're looking at. Yes, I think so. And I think that I'm also interested in what can be captured, I'll just use that word for now, in something beyond words, which is why I think dance or movement or actions, I guess it was a series of actions, but let's call it dance, is vital. So what happened when you started from the words and then you jumped out of them onto the floor or into the movement or into the provocation? And actually I think for me it's not so much a performance lecture as a kind of series of provocations. But what happened then when you suddenly moved away from the words and moved into the body? What did you discover beyond the words in the body? Well, I'm not sure we worked that way, actually. There is always the body, and it comes first. That's one. Even if we're talking, there's always the body. We can change this. I mean, Act 1, Act 2 could become Act 1, and Act 1 could become Act 3. Although putting Act 3 in the middle doesn't make any sense. But as in, it can be moved around. But it sort of felt like for a showing, this could be a good structure for tonight. But it might not be the best structure for another occasion. Where do you want it to go next with this work? Where do you want it to land? Sorry.
I'd like to see it again. I'd like to see Act 2.